In those relationships, there is a sense that indigenous or endogenous Africa, which was placed on pause by apartheid and its evolutionary logic, seems to have very little to offer in post-apartheid South Africa, in the sense that the end of apartheid seemed to suggest let's move on and let's not look back even to cultural realities or a sense of self that was suspended or caricatured under apartheid. We don't need to revisit that. We should move on with the business of being modern, with the business of being new, with the business of transformation. We don't need to go back to redress or almost that impatience with revisiting the past. And one senses that when discussions occur around traditional or indigenous cultural practices, maybe something like traditional authority or traditional forms of governance, like chieftaincy. There's a sense that chiefs or chieftaincy as an institution is incompatible with democracy. And there is a sense that there's a conflation of the fact that this institution in the past was meant to serve to service repression. It is then denied the possibility of reinventing itself. You could see with the traditional authorities bill that is currently in Parliament. So one aspect of my paper, I say, does it mean that indigenous or endogenous Africa or South Africa does not have anything to offer? I think that's something that remains to be redressed, because in post-apartheid South Africa, you still have people who claim a certain sense of African renaissance started by someone like Thabo Mbeki, and the idea that we need to revisit and create a sense of dignity informed by an African ideal of self. And should that be swept or ignored for the interest of modernization around a society configured narrowly around the individual as an autonomous unit of analysis, and whose interest does that serve? A second worry, which I raise in the paper, is the worry about the crystallizing black elite and the idea of trying to catch up using the modernization logic, since many people have been at this journey for long, some with inheritance and so on and so forth. How do we catch up in a hurry? And that is well captured by the media around the term genderpreneurship, a certain obsession to gun for tenders, and in a way it comes with corruption and the practice of corruption within government, and a sense of business as usual and an obsession with consumption. There is a third worry which is evident, the idea of the dignity of citizenship. Although South Africans after 1994 are all citizens within a constitution that is quite rightly presented as the most modern, the most advanced constitution in the world, many people feel, especially the poor majority that were disfavored under apartheid, they still feel that what the constitution promises them cannot be translated into immaterial terms in their daily life in terms of amenities and possibilities. So there is a virtual dignity of that the Constitution makes possible, but in reality of it remains a dream. The fourth worry is the sense that when you follow South Africans talk about the situation, there is an element which one could characterize as playing the blame game. There's a sense in which mutual blaming is the game of who is responsible for what the situation we have today. And some feel that within 20 years you cannot undo the excesses of a past orchestrated under apartheid. And some clearly feel that 20 years is time enough for the new government led by the ANC to have undone things and to move on. So there's this blame game where one has a sense that instead of a commitment to collectively reimagine a future together, people are finger pointing in ways that doesn't quite serve the situation. Possible solutions could therefore be, one, a case of mutual tolerance and accommodation around this image of the conviviality of the porcupines that I've referred to. A second could be a serious investment in democracy and the notion of rainbow nation, which is very dear to South Africa. Translating those into bringing some substance to bear on the rhetoric of democracy and rainbow possibilities. And an investment also in freedom beyond tokenism. Because I often follow one of my most favorite television adverts, which one around Vodacom. Vodacom is a cell phone provider, and there's one advert on night shift, those who work night shifts, where someone, they have to talk about the possibilities of being able to phone when for free. And one of the adverts, in one of the adverts, the person asked the question, are you free or are you dumb? There's a sense in the majority of South Africans that, in fact, the freedom that comes their way is not real. In many ways, they are duped if they take it at face value. So I argue, and I wouldn't want to belabor the point since you have the paper to read for yourself, that in order to confront the challenge of continued persistent inequalities in South African societies and to begin to tackle the issue of poverty, we really need to see to bridge the gap between the possibility of the freedom as an idea and freedom as a material condition. Thanks.
Thank you, Francis. I will do some comments, very short comments actually, and I will raise a question. Actually, I will steal a question from Francis' paper. Too loud? Too loud? It's okay now? Okay. So I will raise a question that I'm stealing from Francis' paper on whether politics and the political are necessarily the game in which freedom is the most threatened. So I really think that the four papers that were presented today, they deal with a struggle for recognition. and not just in political terms, because that's the main question, if it's just in political terms that we should talk about recognition, but also for us who do social sciences, recognition in terms of methodological, epistemological, and political challenges. I really think that Mikhail has an important point when he asks us, where does the perception of social justice or injustice lies? And from his question, we can dialogue with Pedro and Gao on how can we address what is politically hidden. The starving body under a case regime, an everlasting case regime, is being hidden. And I really think that Pedro brought important questions to us when we talk about our approach when doing investigation and when doing social policies, either working in the academic world or in government. And this example and the story Gao brought us is so emblematic of a long struggle to keep alive what was being called superstition, and of improving a sense of community, of humanity, that since yesterday we have been talking about. We are talking about our countries, we are talking about diversity, we are talking about going beyond dualism and the dual categories to deal with this reality, but we have also to deal with the fact that in our countries we don't treat all citizens as human beings. And Francis' paper, when he talks about the conviviality about porcupines, I think he is being very gentle actually, because he's calling all of them porcupines, or all of us porcupines, when we don't recognize ourselves as porcupines from the same species. So I really think that when we are talking here about leaving a fellow human being next to us starved to death, when we are